Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is. Time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. And today, this is going to be a doozy because this is the single most requested video I've had this week. And apparently, Eric Kanevsky has put up his cycle. So let's go ahead and imitate him up front. Hey everybody, it's Eric Kanevsky here, the most optimal person in history. Now, I know Jason Blaha says I do a lot of fluff and pump and that I was using up to 3 grams a year when I was in high school. And even though he's posted the screenshots of me saying it, it's not true. But now I use like 6 grams. Because that's optimal. That's what makes me look like I'm 45 years old at the age of 23. Alright guys, let me go ahead and put on my +5 hat of speechcraft and let's talk about this. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. You know, I posted screenshots before of this, and Eric claims they were fake. They're not. Eric has admitted in the past, as I've said before, he was abusing anabolics before he was even an adult. And when I say abusing, I mean using amounts that I would have never dreamed of using personally, even when I did use gear. Right? And people need to understand that perspective. The poison is in the dose with anything in life. Right? I mean, we could argue that weed is relatively safe up to a threshold, but I mean, if you were to smoke, I don't know, $200 worth of it every single day, 7 days a week, you could probably start experiencing some serious health effects pretty quickly. Even if in moderate amounts, it's relatively safe. Well, anabolics run into this same sort of issue, and when we talk about people using versus abusing, I've pointed out that people like Eric are examples of abuse, who they don't want to train hard, they don't want to train correctly, and so they just bypass training correctly by just abusing insane, mind-boggling amounts of stuff. And that's exactly what we saw here. And this is what I've called him on before. And I said, look, this guy is not going to have a long life. He's going to have a short life expectancy because I knew that he was using 3 grams when he was still in high school. And I posted up evidence of it. And he can deny it all he wants. He knows it's true. I know it's true. All the coaches who saw it back in the day know it's true. I posted it before. Someone has reposted the same screenshot up on my wall, on my Facebook fan page in the last week. It's not like this is hidden. So it's all publicly available. And he was doing that as a teenager. Now he's an adult. I mean, if we want to call 23 an adult, I mean, we can classify that as an adult. I think that's fair. I know that's my age showing where I think 23 is still a child. But legally and for development purposes, he's an adult at 23. All right, and he puts up his stack. And what have I said? He's using way more than he needs to. I've said that already. When he put his real stack up, which he's pulled down several times because apparently YouTube unmonetized his video and he pulled it. There's ways around that, Eric. You got to learn the tricks of the trade. But I digress. It turned out to be a hell of a lot more than I thought. Because I looked at as him starting off. It's like a 16-week breakdown, and I don't have it all in front of me. I read down it because some people have copied it down and put it down for everyone to see. And like week 1, his test alone, he was on 3 grams of test enethate and 700 milligrams of prop. Now, people say, what is that, about 3.7? Well, that is 3.7 grams, but you've got to factor in that prop is a shorter ester, so it has more testosterone. It's actually closer to the equivalent. Like if you were to compare that whole weight of test in there out compared to something like test sip, which is usually your standard prescription in North America, it would be closer to 4 grams. Now, people say, well, how much is that? All right, well, if you guys go get on TRT, and this is one of my big pet peeves, is people out there getting 200 or 300 milligrams and calling it TRT. That's not TRT. Right, that's just low dose cycling. Like that's an actual blast. Like if your doctor is prescribing you 200-300, you're blasting. You're just on a conservative blast. But there's no way you're in the normal range. It's not a replacement dose. That is outside of what the human body can produce under perfect circumstances. So usually a replacement dose is about 100 up to about 150. Like at my age right now, if I were to go be on 100 milligrams, that would be a solid replacement dose. It would be a nice healthy amount, about equal to being a healthy 25-year-old, right? So what's roughly 4,000 times that? You're talking about something in the range of 30 up to 40 times the amount that you would produce under healthy conditions. That's his levels right there. Right, that's not just 5 times normal, 30 to 40. In other words, if you were to line up 30 20-year-olds All healthy 20-year-olds, he has the same testosterone in his body that all 30 of them do combined. Now, do you guys see what I mean? Like, he's never had to learn how to train. And it's surprising with what all he's taking that he's not bigger than he is. And it goes to show you how bad his training and how bad his genetics are, right? Let's put that in perspective. To be at his size on the amount of stuff he's using, how bad does his training and genetics have to be? Because a lot of that is sight enhancement. Like, he does tons of sight shots. So it's not all muscle in his arms and delts. He's got a lot of oil in those delts, and it's very obvious. So that's his test alone. What else was he on? 350 trend, 350 mass prop every week. That's basically 50 a day. You have to understand that tren is arguably, depending upon what math you use, 2 to 3 times as potent per milligram as testosterone for building muscle. So that's the equivalent of something like another gram of test in terms of strength effect, right? Just from that tren. So that's like the equivalent of like 5 grams of test. Then the Masteron, which is milder, much milder substance, right? And that's just his anabolics. But we're getting up there past the 4 gram mark at that point. That's a lot of gear. And then he's on 10 units of growth hormone every day. Anyone care to quantify that, the price tag on that? Anyone remember what Dorian Yates admitted to? When Dorian Yates was Mr. Olympia, he used to use 8 grams of legitimate pharmaceutical grade HGH because it was legal, right? 8 units a day. Eric's using 10. 10 units, that's more than Dorian Yates. And that was considered to be one of the things that he did to reach the size that no one else had at the time. All right, so you go look at what Dorian used to do. He's on double the androgens and more growth hormone than Dorian Yates even used. That's just starting off for his cycle going in. Perspective. Then as it goes, he starts adding more stuff. For long, if you look in there, he's adding like 100 milligrams of Anavar a day, 100 milligrams of Anadrol a day. He gets near the end, and if you guys look through kind of what he put up, he's getting near the end, he's up to 300 milligrams of Anadrol every day at one point. 300 milligrams of Anadrol a day. A-bombs. And they're called A-bombs for a reason. Powerlifters love those at meet time. All right, that's over 2 grams of Anadrol every single week. You can understand how potent A-bombs are? Because they're called that for a reason. It's only over 2 grams of A-bombs at a certain point going into this. On all this other grams of other stuff. Notice later as he gets further into it also, he starts cutting tests and other stuff down. He's on a gram of tren. A gram, 150 a day. With a gram of Masteron. A gram of tren a week. Again, anyone who's ever messed with this stuff understands the side effects of that. I cannot even visualize the side effects, personally, of that. Because most people, if they're on a real tren, usually about 200 to 300 milligrams a week, you start getting some hefty, nasty side effects, right? It starts to mount up. Usually, guys who want to keep their side effects in check and still get the benefits of that substance, keep it under 200 a week. He's on 1,050 per week. As he gets further in, he gets a couple months into this going into his show. Right? That's crazy. So, you see Eric doing the stuff like this, and then I've called in the past and said, Eric, you're going to have a very, very short life. You're not going to live long with what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. It's probably dangerous. You're being reckless. What he was using when he was younger, now he's doubling it. I mean, this is aggressive. This is aggressive stacks. I mean, without even getting into when he goes to a gram of tren, 300 milligrams of A-bombs a day. I mean, stuff like that, right, that's crazy. Like, that's just batshit nuts. Like, you have to be literally something wrong with you to do that. But that's later in, just when you go to where he starts. It's absolutely ludicrous. And then people wonder when I say, no, he really doesn't know how to train. He's just lazy. He just uses drugs instead of learning how to train. Do you guys understand? He's on over 4 grams of gear. And it's all heavy stuff. It's not little mild stuff either. He's on over 4 grams of heavy, hard-hitting androgens at the start. 10 units of growth hormones. Anyone know what the price tag is on that growth? Like real stuff. I don't mean Chinese generics. I'm assuming if he's using good stuff, you guys understand like a 72 unit kit is like $500. He's Going through one of those every single week. Every week he's going through one of those. Do the math on that. That's a couple $1,000s a month. All right? How much money did he spend for this prep? How much money did he spend for this prep? And the worst part, look at how he abused his body for this. And he still lost. He still lost. I also noticed that his butt buddy Brandy went into the hospital and almost died doing this prep with him. I think that maybe they're doing the same sort of stuff. You know what I said before, Eric? You need to get away from Brandy because Brandy's basically mentally retarded. And you're probably getting some of your stacks from what he's doing. Well, Brandy went in the hospital. Well, now if you look at what Eric did, it starts to make sense, doesn't it? I mean, you go look near the end. You get back to what his blood pressure and stuff is looking like near the end of that. When he was on that gram of Tren every week with 2 grams of Anadrol every week. I mean, damn. I'm going to go ahead and throw Eric into my death pool at this point. Having seen what Eric is willing to subject his body to, knowing the damage he probably did when younger, sort of stacks he's admitting to right here. Eric, you got 3 years. You got 3 years. You're dropping dead in 3 years. Just calling it like I see it. Yeah? Brandy, unless he backs off, Brandy's dead in 2. So, pretty much that's what we can predict based upon the level of abuse that he's subjecting himself to. Except the difference is Eric's going to be the next Dallas McCarver, but he's never going to get his pro card. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.